This is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the controversy surrounding Bryan Johnson? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the controversy, then offer my analysis. Bryan Johnson was born on August 22, 1977, in Provo, Utah. When he was 19, he spent 2 years on a mission in Ecuador for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or LDS. Bryan attended Brigham Young University, where he earned a bachelor's degree in international studies in 2003. In 2007, he earned an MBA from the University of Chicago. At some point, Bryan married and went on to have 3 children. After starting a few different companies, Bryan founded an online payment company called Braintree in 2007. It was quite successful and was purchased by PayPal in 2013. Bryan made $300 million in that deal. After this, Bryan and his wife divorced, and Bryan left the LDS Church. In 2016, Bryan started a company called Kernel. It produces a helmet that can record brain activity. In October 2021, Bryan announced an effort to fight aging called Project Blueprint. Bryan assembled a team of over 30 physicians and health experts who developed a series of techniques which are supposed to reverse aging. I'll talk more about Project Blueprint in the analysis. Bryan has a YouTube channel containing videos which reflect his anti-aging strategy. It has over 600,000 subscribers and has been viewed over 100 million times. Here are a few of his video titles that I think sum up his channel pretty well. Why I Am Spending Millions to Be 18 Again, How to Make My Anti-Aging Lunch Live to 120 Plus, Inside My $6.8 million Anti-Aging Home, My Complete Anti-Aging Workout, Why I Take 100 Plus Pills Every Day, and Anti-Aging Millionaire Reacts to Mean Tweets. Now moving to the timeline of the controversy. In June of 2016, Bryan started dating a YouTube content creator named Taryn Southern. In March of 2018, the couple became engaged. The relationship ended in 2019. During the time they were together, Taryn worked for Bryan, so their relationship was both personal and professional. In October of 2021, Taryn filed a lawsuit against Bryan. Here are the allegations that she made in that lawsuit. During the relationship, Bryan was manipulative and coercive. He pressured Taryn into releasing a full list of her prior sexual partners and a description of the sexual behavior that took place. Taryn was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer and received treatment. In October of 2019, Bryan demanded that she move out of the residence they shared. Taryn claimed that Bryan said that she had become a bad deal and a net negative for him. She had no independent source of steady income. Bryan took advantage of her when she was vulnerable and repeatedly leveraged his financial power. She tried to resist, but Bryan was manipulative. After being worn down from the cancer treatment, Taryn signed a separation agreement in 2020 without obtaining legal representation. Taryn accused Bryan of pressuring her to do this. She claimed that Bryan breached an implied agreement of lifelong financial support and an implied agreement to share assets. In December of 2023, Bryan Johnson released a video titled, My Ex-Fiancé Sued Me for $9 million. It's pretty clear he's referring to Taryn Southern, but he never mentioned her by name. Here's a summary of his video, including the allegations that he made against Taryn. In April of 2021, through her attorneys, Taryn sent Bryan an email threatening to make scandalous accusations about him publicly unless he paid her $9 million within a week. This was the first time she made any type of allegation against him. Bryan was very surprised. Bryan did not give in to her demand, and she filed a lawsuit. The case was moved into arbitration. In March of 2023, Taryn was ordered to pay Bryan $584,000. A court later confirmed this finding. In addition to defeating Taryn, her lawyers were reprimanded. They had brought a case forward without any evidence to support their claims. Taryn is not allowed to sue Bryan again. Bryan stated that Taryn and her attorneys miscalculated his resolve. He also said that Taryn had developed some health problems, therefore he set up a trust which will contain the money from the award. Taryn will be the sole beneficiary. It sounds like he's saying that all the money Taryn will pay him will go back to her, but filtered through this trust. Bryan talked about how his name was dragged through the mud. This type of litigation is larger than him and hurts everyone. He encouraged people who have been falsely accused to fight these types of frivolous lawsuits. Apparently, Taryn is now the chief storytelling officer of a medical implant company. One could argue that based on Bryan's claims about her, Taryn is a very good storyteller. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. Bryan said that in 2004, he became depressed and remained that way for 10 years. The depression was caused by being overwhelmed with raising his children and with running a company. Bryan attempted therapy, but it was not successful. I find it curious that out of feelings of depression came a desire to live forever on Earth. It was like Bryan took these self-destructive elements of depression and turned them around into the exact opposite. He was pursuing an objective of living forever. Perhaps this Project Blueprint nonsense was really a way of coping with the adverse feelings. Making this attempt to avoid death was a way to find a sense of purpose. Bryan was now chasing something larger than himself, and theoretically, his research could benefit humanity. Which brings me to item number 2. Project Blueprint has an ambitious goal to reverse aging through a treatment strategy. The project leader, a physician, said that one level of the treatment is organ rejuvenation. Essentially, the mission is to convert Bryan into an 18-year-old, or at least most of his organs will have a biological age of 18. To achieve this remarkable and physically impossible goal, Bryan engages in a strict protocol supplied by his team. For example, he takes 111 pills a day, consumes 1,977 vegan-based calories a day, exercises 7 days a week, and maintains a rigid sleep schedule. Bryan wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every day, eats all his meals for that day by 11 a.m., and goes to bed at 8:30 p.m. He always sleeps alone. The protocol also involves a tremendous amount of measurement. Bryan measures his weight, body mass index, temperature, and many other metrics. Bryan appears to be highly committed to this unusual lifestyle. He has given up many of the things he once enjoyed, like certain types of food. Bryan said that he considers eating a cookie to be an act of violence. This makes me wonder, how would Bryan feel about the Cookie Monster? Is the Cookie Monster a hero because he eats all the cookies and keeps them away from people who want to live forever? Or a self-destructive villain who is doomed due to his excessive cookie consumption? Ironically, unlike Bryan, the Cookie Monster could actually live forever because he is a puppet. Item number 3. Bryan has a philosophy that accompanies his nonsensical treatment protocol. He believes that death is not inevitable, rather it is optional. He has no plans to die, and his motto for the project is, "Don't die." A more appropriate motto would be, "Don't think rationally." This one is not only possible, Bryan has already achieved it. Bryan said that he has more of a relationship with the 25th century than the 21st. He doesn't care what people in our time and place think of him. He believes it makes sense to outsource the management of the human body to an algorithm. Artificial intelligence will run everything someday. Why not the human body as well? In the future, people will no longer have control. They will abandon all human customs like ethics, morals, philosophy, and happiness. Bryan insists that previous thought patterns don't make any sense in a world where death is not inevitable. Item number 4. Can Project Blueprint be successful? Is the world destined to be overpopulated with immortals who wage a never-ending campaign against cookies? Maybe the future will be something like the 1986 movie Highlander, except with baked goods as the prize. Fortunately, it appears as though the cookie industry is safe. I'm not aware of any scientific reason to believe that any of Bryan's tactics will yield significant success. Some experts are worried that he might actually be harming himself, especially with all the pills he takes. Research indicates that genetics explain much of the variance in longevity. Death is actually written into the human genetic code. Despite what Bryan says, death is inevitable. It sounds like Bryan is just throwing every possible tactic at the wall and hoping that something will stick. That's not how science works. When someone is testing a particular treatment, they do not utilize all other potential treatments at the same time. Using that method, there's no way to isolate the effect of the treatment to see if it works or not. Item number 5, what do I think about the controversy between Bryan and Taryn? I don't know who is right or who is wrong in this conflict. Maybe they're both wrong. Here's a theory about what could have led to the conflict between these two. Based on Bryan's belief that he can reverse aging, there is the sense that he views the human body much like a machine. If its parts are replaced, a machine can function indefinitely. For example, theoretically, a motor vehicle can run forever. Every component of the vehicle was manufactured and can be manufactured again. Every old component can be replaced with a new one. Anyone who is willing to treat themselves like a machine is vulnerable to treating other people like machines. Bryan has reduced the human condition to an algorithm. Philosophy, love, social interactions, sex, everything can be represented with an equation. He has erased what it means to be human in order to pursue eternal life. It's not surprising to me that someone with this point of view would aggravate a love interest. Bryan allegedly told Taryn that he would take care of her financially for the rest of her life. This type of long-term commitment has a different meaning when somebody is trying to live forever. Maybe Taryn thought that Bryan was supposed to take care of her for all eternity. Bryan is not well suited to be a romantic partner based on his own statements. For example, the list of rules that he gives his dates is far from romantic. Bryan sleeps alone, does not engage in small talk, the person he is dating is not his number one priority, and all sex is scheduled. Worse yet, the sex is with Bryan. As I mentioned, I don't know who is right or wrong in this conflict, but I do agree that Bryan had a right to defend his reputation. If Taryn did not have any evidence to support her claims, then it would have made more sense to avoid litigation. She may have felt as though Bryan did something wrong, but she could not prove it. Taryn should have counted herself fortunate just to be away from him. Now moving to my final thoughts. The ramifications of pursuing eternal life have been highlighted by Bryan's anti-aging philosophy. So many questions have been introduced. If somebody could live forever as a human, would they want to? Would it be possible to experience any degree of happiness and a never-ending existence, or would life simply be a cookie-free landscape of devastation, not a chocolate chip in sight? Perhaps through Bryan's promotion of nonsense, he has succeeded in showing people the downside of living forever. Those are my thoughts on the controversy surrounding Bryan Johnson. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.